What up, nerds and nerdettes, sexy bihatches, otherwise known as my future girlfriends? It's your boy Darth. We are back with some more Queen's Blade limit break video content. And in this one, yes, I am winding down my time with the account and, support and things like that. So I am working on a couple of videos to kind of help out with gearing and a couple other items in the game to kind of get you guys going down certain paths and stuff. But I thought I'd take a break from doing that and cover the brand new ultra rare Mind Attribute Warrior, because she's kind of a favorite amongst a lot of people. She's kind of like Catalia in terms of, like, people just love her. I'm talking about Branwen, or Branwen. However you want to say it, or however it's said, I always mess these things up, but she's like Catalia. She's got this following. People love her, and they gave her the 2.0 treatment by making her an ultra rare warrior. So how does she stack up? What does she do? How does she do it? Is she worth it? Or is she bland and just decent? Well, we're gonna take a look at that. And we're gonna go over her. I'm gonna give you my thoughts and opinions. There is some buzz around this warrior. There is some confusion. We're gonna clarify what that is and why, and give you a different perspective on the warrior, and then you can decide for yourself what you want to do with her and how. So let's go in and check her out. There's a lot of activities going on in here, as I usually do. Let's start off with her look. Amazing. Look at this. I mean, she what is her name? Branwen, the Proud Dragon Blood. I love dragons, guys. I'm a huge fan. Always have been. Love drawing with them. Love playing with them. Imaginary dragon when I was younger. Long story. Anyways, I wish I met a woman who could turn into a dragon, by night or something like that. She could take me on night flights and things like that. Anyways, look at this. Blue flame, amazing. That shield is sick as F. I don't like the horns coming out this way. I think they could have done a little bit differently with it. Dragons do have horns, I get it, but she looks like kind of like a bull-ish dragon. Anyways, the blue flames in the eyes should have been in both, but otherwise, wow, look at this. She is embodying the dragon. This little claw around her foot. This is amazing. This little back headdress thingy that she has. Look at the look. Her eyes flicker. She is amazing. Beautiful artwork. I would expect nothing less from Japanese animators for the most part. That's why I hold them to a high standard when it comes to art. Now let's take a look at the spicy pose, and all I get, boobs. I'm sorry, I gotta say, these have got to be one of the greatest creations God ever made. And I say that knowing full well I have a penis, so I know exactly what it's like to have an amazing creation that God gave you. I'm just saying. Your buddies could call you up any time of the day, no matter what it is. Let's go get smashed. Let's go to In-N-Out Burger. Let's go watch a movie. Doesn't matter what it is. Nope, I'm just gonna stay home and bat these things around while watching cartoons. Because there's something about watching Thundercats and playing with your woman's taters. That's all a man needs. That's all a man needs. That's all I can say. And YouTube's gonna not like that one. But anyways, her dragon's probably dead. She's been in battle. The blue flame has gone out, but she's still on fire. She won all of her battles. Now she's just weary. She just raises her sword up and just yells out something epic like, "I am Spartacus. Now come over here and give me some licks." And there's the YouTube strike. I don't care. Had to be said. Look, I love her spicy pose, but the elegance of the original pose, the blue flames, everything about it, just amazing. It's just wonderful. I think that artistically, they really did Branwen justice if you are a huge fan of this chick. Trust me. So let's get into talking about her and her skills. What's the deal? What's the confusion? Let's start off with the fact that she's a tank. Damage up, shield, transform. She doesn't actually transform into a dragon that I can see, which would have been sick. I might pay $50 skin if she transforms into a dragon during certain states, but I digress. Anyways, her passives. All right, listen. Unlike a lot of tanks who get HP, defense, damage resist, things like that, she actually gets attack. HP, damage resist, though. So we'll see kind of what that's about. At the beginning of the turn, grant shield equal to 10% of the user's max HP on all allies except herself. That's not a problem. Don't worry about her not putting a max HP shield on herself because she doesn't need it. You're going to see that as we go through her kit and why that is. But she provides protection to the team. Okay, she is a tank, whatever. Despite her passives being more attack-driven and things that you would see on an attacker. So, that's her passives. Keep in mind, this is max rank level warrior skills. Not everything will be active until you reach level 3 in all skills. And that should be your goal, is to get up to at least 10 and then 11. And then max level of 280 to make sure everything's active and going. So we're going to backtrack and go to our A1 skill here. Eruption deals 100% physical damage to all enemies and bonus damage equal to 10% of all remaining HP. That's actually kind of cool. So you're gonna want to keep her healed up, is basically what I'm saying. That's not the first time I'm going to say this as we go through her kit. Keep her as topped up on health as you can so that you take advantage of the bonus HP burn damage, which is actually really good. However, if she's in Dragon Fury state, she'll do 150% physical damage instead of 100% physical damage. Alright, cool. So let's jump over to, so keep in mind Dragon Fury. So let's jump past her A3 and go to her passive. This is where the confusion is coming in. A lot of people still haven't tested it. I'm still testing it, so I don't know every in and out of this, whether it's working properly or not, but I'll explain it the best that I can. Usher's Blessing, where her shield comes alive and gives her the licks that she needs. She will get a healing debuff of 50%, okay? And she will receive Dragon Favor at the beginning of the turn. Cannot be removed, lasts for 4 turns. This is the wording that's causing the problem. Cooldown 4 turns. If something lasts for 4 turns, and then you have a cooldown of 4 turns, how can you enter an alternate state if it's always active? We're going to talk about that. I'm talking about Dragon Wrath, which is probably a wording problem, typo. It should be Dragon Fury, not Dragon Wrath. G123 needs to figure out what's going on here. So, if not having Dragon Favor, which triggers at the beginning of the turn, cannot be removed. If you don't have Dragon Favor at the beginning of an action, which meaning an actual skill-based action, not a follow-up attack or anything like that, I'm not talking about Barrage. At the beginning of an own action, receive Dragon Wrath, otherwise known as Dragon Fury. So, we have to read the two for you to understand what's going on here. Dragon Favor, beginning of the turn, lasts for 4 turns. You're going to absorb damage equal to 120% of your own max HP. Awesome, okay? While active, keep that in mind. Your final damage is also going to be reduced by 50%. All damage received, though, is negative 40%, which is going to help make that shield very strong and pliable when it comes to being there, because shields can be eaten through. Receive 40% all damage received. Now, I don't think that that's accurate. Ultra rare damage seems to be absorbed by it. However, I thought ultra rare damage was supposed to be self-contained and its own damage type and damage resistance. But debuff damage, like duel and burns and things like that, is also its own damage type. From what I can tell, this does apply to debuff damage, which is awesome. Because debuff damage has gotten out of control when it comes to dual attribute warriors, by the way. More on that later. So she'll take 40% less damage, but she's not doing a whole lot of damage while in this state. When attacked, she will deal damage equal to 10% of own current HP to the enemy and inflict Glacial. We'll look at Glacial in a second. This can trigger up to 3 times per turn. So she's actually capable of doing quite a bit of damage because of the HP burns outside of her physical damage that she can do. That 10% current HP is not subject, I believe is subject to final damage reduction. I'm not entirely sure. I would say that because it's final damage, it actually may or may not be fixed damage. It might still be subject. So again, a little clarification would be nice. So how do you trigger Dragon's Wrath if it lasts for 4 turns? Well, keep in mind the damage that you can absorb is 120% of your max HP while active, meaning that if the enemy does enough damage to break through your defense shield, you should be entering Dragon Fury at the start of an action, though. Now, this is going to play a little wonky when I talk about this and make it a little cohesive when I talk about turn order. But anyways, once this shield is broken, my understanding is that you enter Dragon Fury. I'm having a hard time entering Dragon Fury because of the testing environment that I'm in. Most of my warriors kill before she gets to that point, yada yada yada, and I am trying her in high level attribute tower. Not attribute tower, but the attribute, but anyways. So Dragon Fury is the damage component when you're not in defensive mode. So think of Dragon Favor as defensive mode, Dragon Fury as offensive mode. Your final damage is increased, your breach or defense further reduced is 40%, your crit rate goes up, you still unhealable, or actually you become unhealable, and then removes and nullifies all debuffs, which is awesome, deals bonus damage equal to 20% of lost HP, cannot exceed 100% of your attack, keeping it in check, but also grants a shield to yourself equal to X% of the damage done. You can't read it here, but that's what it is. So even though you have a shield under Dragon's Favor, you go into damage mode when in Dragon Fury, you can still create a self-sustaining shield by doing damage. You also can counter attack, okay, under Dragon Fury. You just can't see it there, and I apologize. That's just how it goes. So Dragon Favor is the defensive stance that you want to try to be in, but she's capable of doing quite a bit of damage in Dragon Fury, assuming you break through her defenses. But her defenses reset every at the start of her own turn, or at the beginning of the turn, which is actually kind of nice. I really do like that. When in Dragon Fury, though, keep in mind her first turn goes from 100% physical damage to 150% physical damage, which the second part of Dragon Favor, though, is when attacked, she will deal damage, so she is a counter-attacker here, but she also is capable of doing that down here in Dragon Fury. I wish you could see that. But anyways, when attacked, deals damage equal to 10% of own current remaining HP to the enemy and inflicts Glacial. That brings us into her A2, where it explains Glacial. Her turn 2 ability, 4-turn cooldown, deals physical damage at 150% rate to front and middle row enemies, 70% chance to freeze for 2 turns, and if the target has Glacial, it's 100%, which is actually, you can apply Glacial if you put her in the right setup formation, get her in the right area to be attacked, to receive Glacial, and then try to keep Glacial up as much as possible. So when in Dragon Fury, you will deal 150% physical damage to all enemies instead of front and middle, and deal bonus 50% physical damage to targets with Glacial. So Glacial reduces speed, reduces healing, so you shouldn't need a reduced healing rune necessarily on some items. Up to 3 bonus, last 3 turns, but up to 3 times basically. When removed, the status owner will lose additional HP equal to 8% of the user's max HP. So when Glacial comes off, it's kind of tantamount to shaved ice damage. Really cool. So the passive here, she can be an attacker, but really she's granting herself Dragon Favor, absorbing damage, taking reduced healing, taking reduced damage. When you break through her defenses, she becomes this monster DPS supposedly, and the DPS is actually pretty decent. I only have her up to 9. When I tested her out, she did fairly decent damage, and so getting her up to 10, I may take her to 11 this turn as well and see how she really does. I really do like her, but one of the things that is overlooked right now is her ultra rare skill. So at the end of her own turn, she'll deal attack equal to 40% mind attribute damage to all enemies, 1 time. But she removes the target's shield if in effect. Shields in PvP have gotten out of control, and it's largely in part to some of the buffs you get that the company gives you around turn 6 that you should not be getting. I don't care what anybody says, but shields have become a pain in PvP, and they have not addressed it. They need to, they're aware of it, but you know, the smart, brilliant people at G123 are so brilliant they can't see the problems in the game. But this is actually really cool. So at the end of her own turn, this isn't at the end of the overall turn. Corinne, the new ultra rare, one of the recent ultra rare warriors, also removes shields, but it's turn-based cooldown. That is not effective at removing shields. But also keep in mind that some shields cannot be removed. I'm not in favor of that. Shields need to be, there should be a counter to everything. If somebody's going to use a shield heavy lineup, you should be able to either remove it or break right through it as a counter. It's called tactics. Know your enemy and then adjust to your enemy. But anyways, own turn. So what you can do is speed tune her to be first on your team. She'll take her turn. She'll do whatever she's done, but at the end of her turn, she'll remove the shields, freeing up the rest of your team to go in and do what they have to do without the shields being a problem, assuming the shield can be removed. I'm looking at dual attribute Seer. There's one shield that can't be removed, but her primary 2-turn cooldown one can be removed, and that's where you need to have a counter, and that's where she becomes effective. Not against the ultra rare Ultimate Warrior Malona, because her shield can't be removed, and I'm not in favor of that. I don't like that. But anyways, she's decent. She has great survivability. She can do damage, but your goal is to not get her in that state, or maybe it is. It's very dangerous to get her out of a certain state. Watch your formation. Put her out in front. Let her take the damage. Get the counters. Get the glacials. Get the freeze. Absorb the damage. And then go into basically a burst DPS. But the problem is again, she reapplies the effect at the beginning of the turn. So, it's a little wonky. I get it. There's give and take. There's tit for tat. Sometimes you want your enemy to break the shield, so she goes into fury mode and just wrecks in terms of DPS, but that's not really the best. And because she has a negative healing effect, keeping her topped up is going to be a problem. That's why she should have really good damage resist. But that's not to say you shouldn't have healing on her. Any bit of healing that you can give her. So rune skill that heals on physical damage, healers that heal on your team, you still want to give her as much healing as possible to try to keep her topped up so that damage based on HP can be maximized. Give her as much HP as you can through artifact gear and things like that. Increase her healing on your gems. Give her healing up jewels, not gems. I play another game. So anyways, what do you guys think? Did they do her justice? I really like her. I like her formation. I think that she's decent. She has some tit for tat, a little wonky to play around with, but the fact that she can remove shields, particularly when it comes to the Seer, makes her a great counter if you can fit her in your team. I think people are going to have a little bit of trouble keeping her alive to some degree with the damage profile out there, but understanding how she works, how she enters these states, and then trying to keep her healed up as much as possible is actually going to be effective. And I think that she can really help out with the Seer shield in PvP, in my personal opinion. Not everybody's going to feel the same way. I think she's a great warrior. I think they did her justice. I like her poses. I like her look. What do you guys think? Like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to be on the lookout for a few more videos regarding gearing and a couple of other items. Till then, see you in the next one.